Imagine being one of the most powerful rulers in history, yet your legacy is clouded by mystery, betrayal, and political intrigue. Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt, was more than just a beauty. She was a strategic genius, a skilled diplomat, and a ruler who fought to protect her kingdom. But how did she rise to power? Who were the powerful men she allied with? And was she truly Egyptian, or was her story something else entirely? Before Cleopatra became one of the most famous rulers in history, Egypt was already in turmoil. Her father, Ptolemy XII, was a weak ruler, deeply unpopular among his own people. Egypt, the land of pharaohs and gods, was at a crossroads. The Ptolemaic dynasty, founded by Ptolemy I, had long struggled to maintain its grip on power. By the time Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE, Egypt was already a shadow of its former glory. Ptolemy XII's reign was marked by increasing discontent. His inability to manage the country's finances and his reliance on Roman support only worsened Egypt's situation. At one point, Ptolemy was forced into exile after his enemies within Egypt rallied against him. For a time, it seemed as though the Ptolemaic dynasty would collapse entirely. Yet after his exile, Ptolemy was restored to the throne in 55 BCE. But the damage had already been done. His return marked the beginning of a turbulent period in Egypt's history. Ptolemy XII ruled with heavy taxes to finance the restoration of his rule, relying heavily on Roman military assistance to remain in power. The powerful Roman Republic, growing in influence and might, exerted increasing control over Egyptian affairs, and Egypt was soon caught in the web of Roman politics. But this period of dependency would soon give way to a dramatic change, the emergence of a young, ambitious queen who would reshape the fate of her kingdom forever. When Ptolemy XII passed away in 51 BCE, Cleopatra, then only 18 years old, found herself thrust into the role of co-ruler with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. At first glance, this might have seemed like a peaceful partnership. After all, the Ptolemaic dynasty had long practiced sibling rule. However, Cleopatra and Ptolemy XIII were not typical co-rulers. The young queen, a woman of extraordinary intelligence and political ambition, had no desire to be a figurehead. She was determined to rule Egypt with strength and independence. But Ptolemy XIII's advisors, eager to retain their own power, had other plans. They wanted to use the young king as a puppet, manipulating him to maintain control over Egypt. As a result, a fierce power struggle broke out between Cleopatra and the forces aligned with her brother. Cleopatra's position became precarious. At one point, she was forced into exile. She retreated to Syria, where she began gathering support to retake her throne. But she knew that an army alone would not be enough to secure her reign. She needed a powerful ally. This is where one of history's most legendary encounters took place. Cleopatra, ever the shrewd strategist, knew that the key to Egypt's survival lay with Rome. The Romans controlled much of the Mediterranean world, and their influence in Egypt was growing stronger by the day. She understood that her only chance of reclaiming her throne lay in securing the favor of one of Rome's most powerful figures. She chose Julius Caesar. In a move that would become one of the most iconic moments in history, Cleopatra made a daring and dramatic entrance into Julius Caesar's palace in Rome. Smuggled into the palace, rolled up inside a carpet, she was delivered to Caesar, who would soon become both her ally and lover. The Queen of Egypt, with her intelligence, charm, and political savvy, quickly captivated Caesar. Their relationship wasn't simply one of passion, it was an alliance of mutual benefit. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra was able to raise an army and march back to Egypt, where she defeated her brother's forces, solidifying her position as the ruler of Egypt. She became the sole ruler of the country, but her victory came at a cost. The young Ptolemy XIII died under mysterious circumstances, and Cleopatra's remaining siblings were either sidelined or eliminated to prevent any future threats to her reign. The alliance between Cleopatra and Julius Caesar went far beyond politics. Their relationship was deeply personal, and soon Cleopatra gave birth to a son, Caesarion, whom she claimed was Caesar's rightful heir. This was a bold move, as it was a clear declaration of her ambition for both herself and her son to be at the heart of Rome's political future. But the time Cleopatra spent in Rome with Caesar was fleeting. On the Ides of March in 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was assassinated, leaving Cleopatra vulnerable once again. With Caesar's death, Cleopatra found herself at the mercy of Rome's political chaos. Rome was on the brink of civil war, and Cleopatra knew she needed another powerful ally to secure her position in Egypt. Enter Mark Antony, one of Rome's most prominent generals and a key figure in the power struggle that erupted after Caesar's assassination. Antony, like Cleopatra, was a complex figure. He had a reputation as a brilliant military leader, but his character was often seen as flawed, indulging in excess and living for the moment. However, Cleopatra saw in Antony a man who could help her secure her kingdom, and she wasn't wrong. Their relationship was not simply romantic, it was a calculated political alliance. Cleopatra, understanding the stakes, recognized that Mark Antony's ambitions were aligned with hers. Together, they could challenge the rise of Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and heir. But as with her previous alliances, the relationship between Cleopatra and Antony was fraught with political tension. The two spent considerable time together, with Cleopatra visiting Antony in Rome, and the pair engaging in numerous joint campaigns. Cleopatra, ever the ruler, was not content to simply be Antony's lover. She also took a prominent role in their military and political endeavors. Her support was invaluable in Antony's struggles with Octavian, and their combined forces fought for control of the Roman world. However, the tides of war turned against them. The Battle of Actium in 31 BCE became the defining moment of the conflict. Despite their combined strength, Cleopatra and Antony's forces were defeated by Octavian's fleet. Knowing that their defeat was inevitable, the two fled to Egypt, where their downfall was soon sealed. In one of the most tragic and iconic moments of history, Mark Antony, believing Cleopatra had already taken her own life, chose to fall on his sword. He died in Cleopatra's arms, and soon after, Cleopatra, faced with the prospect of capture by Octavian, chose to end her life on her own terms. The method of her death remains one of history's greatest mysteries. It has long been rumored that she died from the bite of an asp, a venomous snake. But was this truly the case, or was it an execution orchestrated by Octavian's forces? We may never know the true details of her death, but what we do know is that Cleopatra's legacy continues to captivate and intrigue. Despite her status as the Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra was not ethnically Egyptian. She belonged to the Ptolemaic Dynasty, a Greek family that had ruled Egypt for generations. Yet, Cleopatra was unlike her predecessors. She embraced the Egyptian culture, learned the Egyptian language, and even styled herself as the living goddess Isis, one of Egypt's most revered deities. By doing so, she made herself more relatable to the people she ruled, aligning her image with the ancient traditions of Egypt while also maintaining her political ties with Rome. Cleopatra's embrace of Egyptian culture was significant because it helped to secure her rule over a kingdom steeped in ancient traditions. She did not simply rule as a foreigner. She became a symbol of Egypt's ancient heritage, melding Greek and Egyptian identities. This was a crucial part of her strategy to maintain her position on the throne, as it allowed her to garner the support of both the Roman elite and the Egyptian populace. For centuries, Cleopatra has been romanticized as a seductive queen, a siren whose beauty entranced the most powerful men of the ancient world. But the truth about Cleopatra is far more powerful. She was a brilliant strategist, a master of diplomacy, and a ruler who fought tirelessly to protect her kingdom and her people. Her reign was not marked by the luxury and excess often associated with monarchs. Instead, it was defined by her resilience, intelligence, and ability to adapt to the ever-changing political landscape of the ancient world. Cleopatra's story is not just one of a queen seeking love and power. It is a tale of survival, a fight for control in a world where empires clashed, alliances shifted, and betrayal was ever present. She was a ruler who navigated these treacherous waters with skill and determination, and despite her tragic end, she remains one of the most enduring figures in history. Cleopatra's legacy lives on not just through her dramatic love affairs or her political alliances, but through her extraordinary leadership and her ability to carve out a place for herself in a world dominated by men. She was more than a queen. She was a symbol of strength, intellect, and resilience, a woman whose story continues to inspire and captivate to this very day.